Hi there, it's Laurence Bradford from Learn to Code with Me, and in this CSS video we're going to talk about how to connect the HTML to the CSS file so that your styles actually show up. Because as you can see right now, my web page looks pretty boring, and we haven't looked at this in a bit, but I'm making this kind of like little resume. You see there's some paragraphs, some headings, a list right there, a little table, special characters. There's a lot going on with it, but it's just, doesn't look too attractive. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 ways of connecting the HTML to the CSS. So there's inline, embedded, and external. So the first we'll talk about is inline. And basically you're putting this style right in the HTML attribute, or you're using the style attribute. Okay, so let's go to my code. This is my HTML file. So for this first paragraph, I'm going to do style equal. Now, I don't even, so if you kept reading on that slide, you see that, I've never used this. So what is it? Style equals color red. Okay. Style equals color colon red. All right, let's see if that worked. All right, see, it turned my first paragraph red. So this is really difficult to use in large projects because say you want to go and make a little change, you have to go back to every single, all these tags, every single P tag, every single, whatever tag, and fix it. So I'd say I can't even think of an example when it would be necessary to use this. The only time I ever really see this is when I'm on my WordPress and I copy and paste something from, say, Google Docs or Microsoft Word, which is the pre-formatted text or the formatted text. This is why having a text editor is important, because it's plain text. Anyway, so you bring over the WordPress document, copy paste it into, you bring the Microsoft Word document, copy and paste it into the WordPress on the site, and sometimes these pre-formatted things come in and it turns into this weird inline CSS. Sorry for that rant. Anyway, just don't use this. Don't even really worry about it. Just know it's there. Okay, so the next type is the embedded style, which is put right at the top of your HTML file. So let's take this out. And this would go inside the head. And again, remember the head doesn't actually show up on the page. So if you see my title about Laurence Bradford, see how it's up at the top of the browser, it's not actually on the page. Oops. Okay, so how we do this, we do the style tag. Okay. Let me see, I forgot the type. Type equals text / CSS. Okay. And then we could, what do I put? Blue 12. Okay, so let's just do key, so all paragraph tags. Color green and font size. Let's do 20 pixels. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if it turned up. And it did. Look. Got the 16 pixel font. I have the green paragraphs. If you're maybe you're wondering why this isn't green, that's because, these are headings. This is actually in a list, so it's not a paragraph. Again, a heading. And this is in a table, so it's not a paragraph. But if you did want to change everything, this should work. Body. Okay, let's see. Okay, so see when you use the body instead of the P, that selects everything in the body, which, as you know, is everything, including the footer, right? So that's how you do that. Okay, so this is, I guess, a bit more acceptable than the inline, but it's definitely not preferred. And so on a website, think about, all the websites we go to. There's tons of pages, especially on the news sites. There's tons of blogs. I mean, there's tons of articles, and there's different categories. And I mean, look at BuzzFeed. There's all these different, the LOL, the funny stuff, and there's some of the news stuff. It's just really expansive. So that's why this isn't really that practical. But big exception for the people on Tumblr, this is the way it's done. So Tumblr sort of has its own style, because they use those I think they're called blocks, and they have the special Tumblr tags, right, which is just unique to Tumblr. But if anyone has been on Tumblr or does any kind of theme customization, you know that in the beginning of the document you put all the styles in, and you put them in a style tag very similar to this, and it's in the head of the document, again, very similar to this. So that's just something unique to Tumblr, but for other sites, you shouldn't do that. Okay, and this is the way that most people use, the way that I use. It's the linked CSS, also known as the external style sheet. So with this, basically you make a separate CSS file with the .css extension, and then you link it to your HTML file through the head. And this is good because you can have one CSS sheet for all the different pages on your site. Now, if anyone's a bit more advanced, you're probably thinking, oh, but some on my site, for instance, there's multiple CSS sheets, but that's more advanced. Just for beginners, just one main, style.css sheet. This is good because it reduces the file size and the bandwidth. It's better to maintain in the long run. And as I said, it's what all the cool kids use. So first things first, I created this a while ago, and I do have some stuff in here. This is the style.css sheet, and I did this in the first video. So I have my website folder. I have an images folder, which there's the one image in, and then I have the index.html file and the style.css file. So I want to quickly show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is the folder my site is in, website. Index.html, style.css, and then there's the images folder, and there's that image of me, which you see on the site. Okay, so to link these two, there's nothing you put in the style.css to link it to the HTML. But when you link it here, let me double, okay, you do link equals style sheet type equals text / CSS, and href, which is the URL, is style.css. Okay. Save. Hold on, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Okay, I wanted to pause it to make sure I knew what I was talking about with the rel and the type. Basically, the rel stands for relation, and it says on one here, rel is short for relation. It specifies the relation between the tag and the href. Interesting. What about type? No one then answered to that. Here it says, the type attribute specifies the internet media type, formerly known as the MIME or meme of the style tag. Okay. The type attribute identifies the content between the style and closing style tags. It indicates the content of CSS. Okay, so basically, this is, I guess, just telling the HTML file that the style sheet is in the form of a CSS file. That seems to make the most sense. And again, this is the name of the CSS. And if it wasn't in the same folder, if it was in another folder, you would do, say, CSS/style.css. But it's all in the same level, so it's cool. All right, now let's go back to the site and refresh. And as you can see, it worked. The the body background color is now yellow. The P color is green, and yeah, I did the idea earlier with the footer home, and I made the footer home, what, 20 pixels, yeah, that's why it's so big. Okay, so from this point forward, as long as you keep this link tag in the HTML head, we're going to, if you make changes in the style.css, they're going to relay over to the index.html file. So if I add, for instance, let's see, okay, so we've talked about, I think, is that H2? H2 font size, let's do 40 pixels. See, look, now it's bigger than that. All right, thanks again for watching the videos, and next up we're going to be talking about what the cascading means in cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets is CSS. All right, till next time.